He couldn't help but look up and let out a long sigh. Master's luck seems to be really bad. Just then, a sudden fluctuation of spiritual power energy was sensed not far away. Kinzo used his spiritual sense to investigate. He found that it seemed like rogue cultivators were active in spell duel on the border of Reed Island, where many chi cultivators were venturing deep into the island for thousands of miles in search of precious exotic flowers and fruits in exchange for resources for their own cultivation. Kinzo immediately felt the urge to retreat in his heart, just when he thought that this trip to Reed Island might end in regret. He unexpectedly found that the cliff next to him was actually the destination of his trip. When he approached this immortal remedy herb, he found that this herbal medicine was actually guarded by an azure wave serpent. Moreover, there were signs that it was about to ascend as a flood dragon and attain immortality. He secretly calculated in his heart that although he might not necessarily lose in a direct confrontation, the surrounding environment was too dangerous. It seemed that he had to find a way to outsmart it. At this moment, Kinzo's spiritual sense also detected the situation of a spell duel further away. At first glance, he almost turned around and left. Encountering her again, what's the deal with this Emmy? Might as well change her name to Emmy. He clearly drew a map for her to go southwest. How did she end up here? He couldn't help but cover his face in speechlessness. But thinking carefully, there are spell duel fluctuations in this direction. Only then did he discover the immortal remedy herb. From this perspective, he also needs to thank Emmy for saving him last time. By taking advantage of her a little this time, we'll call it even. But he looked at the few people surrounding Emmy at this moment. I'm afraid it wouldn't even be enough to floss the teeth of this azure wave serpent. But he quickly found out. There are still two auras in the air that have not yet moved. It is Makoa and Ryder. The thought of Ryder dragging on and on kept bothering him. He just wants to catch Emmy alive. Isn't he just trying to get her? Despicable. Thinking of this, Kinzo immediately used the wind whisper spell to transmit his voice to Emmy. Facing you at the moment, take 8 steps back from the heaven position towards the thunder position. Emmy suddenly heard Kinzo's voice, and was still puzzled. How did senior brother Kinzo end up here? Immediately after, Kinzo transmitted again. Retreat to fire position 6 feet. Don't hesitate. Counterattack if you have the strength. Pay attention to your expression. Don't let them suspect anything. Move to fire position 3 feet. Switch to thunder position 5 feet. That's it. Kinzo keeps directing Emmy to lead a group of people towards Azure Wave Serpent continuously. Rush 4 steps to earth position. Retreat 6 steps to fire position. The poison has started to move towards the left side. Kinzo is observing the demon's movements while also looking after Emmy's well-being. Move forward 3 steps to water position. Retreat 9 steps to thunder position. It has now set its sights on you. Focus on following my guidance later on. Kinzo continues to use the escape technique repeatedly. Provide timely guidance to Emmy. When I mention jump, you should rush into the air at full force. Absolutely do not hesitate even for a moment. After seeing the opponent's response, Kinzo seizes the opportunity to give the signal to jump. Just as expected, Emmy rushes into the air without any hesitation. Just as the few people were about to chase over, Azure Wave Serpent suddenly appeared in front of them. It opened its mouth and bit towards the 3 of them. Makoa in the air saw his 2 elite soldiers being killed. He couldn't sit still any longer. He flew towards the Azure Wave Serpent. While Emmy, who was escaping at that moment, was wondering how she didn't notice Kinzo's aura, suddenly a sword flew down from the sky, blocking her way. The newcomer was Ryder. When Makoa and the Azure Wave Serpent were entangled in battle, Kinzo hides on the side with the paper man. In the end, Makoa chopped off the head of the Azure Wave Serpent with a single axe. Kinzo saw the opportunity. He took out the self-developed gentle immortal incense directly. He dodged to the side, and directly threw the gentle immortal incense towards Makoa. It smashed onto the ground and exploded instantly. The elite soldier almost instantly collapsed on the ground. Next, Makoa also stumbled and fell to the ground. Just as Makoa was shocked by what kind of poison this was. Suddenly, a crossbow arrow hit his neck. Then he saw Kinzo slowly emerging from the trees. Kinzo threw out the sky-changing divine umbrella. He then took out a crossbow and aimed at Makoa again. At the same time, his left hand turned 3 paper men into clones. They launched attacks on Makoa. At the same time, Kinzo pulled the trigger and shot an arrow at Makoa. The arrow hit his neck successfully once again. When those 3 avatars approached Makoa, he produced a highly corrosive poison specially made by Kinzo. 3 people simultaneously threw the poison towards Makoa. As soon as the smoke made contact, Makoa's armor slowly corroded away. Kinzo leaped into the air once again, shooting the 3rd arrow at Makoa. The 3rd arrow pierced through Makoa's corroded chest, striking his heart. And the 3 paper man avatars simultaneously breathed out flames, directly engulfing Makoa. When Makoa fell, he finally saw the appearance of the person who attacked him. "It's you." However, Makoa, being an immortal, would not willingly accept such an ending. Makoa let out a loud roar, with waves of light and shadows appearing on his body, and a huge phantom above his head. It was his primary soul leaving his body. The primary soul exerted all its power, and struck towards Kinzo with a palm. Kinzo was just about to dodge, but his ankle was suddenly grabbed by someone. He glanced down to see that it was actually an elite soldier who had been poisoned. But at that moment, the palm had already reached Kinzo's face. Almost in an instant, Kinzo's upper body was smashed by this palm, just as Makoa succeeded in killing his opponent. Behind him came the sound of air being torn apart. 7 long nails simultaneously struck Makoa in various parts of his body. He was stunned to discover that he had only shattered a paper man. Makoa immediately thought of his original body, and found that it had long been burned down to just a skeleton. And at this moment, another Kinzo emerged from the tree. He clenched his fist in front of Makoa. "I'll kill you." The long nail inserted into Makoa's body burst open instantly. Kinzo once again sacrificed the soul gem to absorb Makoa's fragmented soul. After the battle ends, Kinzo is taking stock of the results of this battle. The paper man retrieved 3 and put 1 out of action. All physical bodies were burnt to black ashes. And the spoils he acquired were only an axe and a storage magical artifact. Kinzo couldn't help but wonder how an immortal like him could be so poor. Fortunately, he finally got his hands on the immortal remedy herb that was the goal of this trip. In line with the principle of not wasting anything, Kinzo collected the head of the Azure Wave Serpent. It should be possible to refine some good poison from it. By then, it can be used to protect Junior Sister from harm. In no time, Kinzo arrived at the battlefield of Emi and Ryder. He soon realized that his worries were completely unnecessary. At this point, Emi has a firm upper hand. Ryder's cultivation achievement in Return to Void Realm. This should be built up using pills, right? This is among the disciples of the same generation. Is he the second-ranked figure? Kinzo suddenly realized that if all contemporary disciples are this level. In the following years, in the Immortal Sect's big competition, if Kai is given some more pills and self-developed magical artifacts, she could probably make it into the top 100. At this point, Ryder saw himself as no match for Emi. He was preparing to escape. Kinzo, who was hiding nearby, quietly took out the gentle immortal incense. He seized the opportunity and threw the incense at Ryder. Ryder thought it was some kind of concealed weapon and immediately smashed the bottle. The smoke instantly enveloped him. His body immediately lost strength. At this time, Emi was also planning to capture Ryder and bring him back to the sect. She wants to let the master decide what to do with Ryder. Little did she know that all her attacks hit him one by one. Emi was greatly surprised by how he suddenly stopped resisting. But at this time, Ryder had already died. Emi looked at Ryder's body and couldn't help but say, "Even if your heart is as evil as it is, do you feel a hint of remorse?" Were you too forced by someone? Kenzo, who was standing on the side, couldn't help but give a thumbs up to Emmy upon hearing this. Junior sister really lives up to her name. She even has a strong ability to brainwash herself. Watching Emmy hesitate in the uncertain surroundings, and instead of swiftly leaving after killing the opponent, she lingers here in reminiscence and emotion. It's obvious she hasn't endured the harsh realities of life and lacks vigilance. At this moment, Emmy suddenly remembered Kenzo and was about to go find him. She suddenly smelled the gentle immortal incense. Immediately, she felt dizzy and passed out completely. At this moment, Kenzo reached out a hand from the soil. He grabbed Emmy's hair firmly. Kenzo just kept holding her hair like that, using Earth Escape to take her away. Kenzo is really ruthless. He is afraid of misunderstanding to avoid physical contact with Emmy. He actually dragged Emmy by her hair for thousands of miles on the ground. Julia, trapped inside the formation, watched Noah and Liliana fall in love there. She suddenly became extremely irritated. Not knowing whether that guy is dead or alive, Kenzo would be in trouble if something happened. How would she explain to her master if those two precious immortal candidates died young? Her 100 years' worth of wine money would all be gone. At the thought of this, Julia's whole state of mind deteriorated. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind whipped up. Julia, do you know your guilt? Julia panicked at the sound. Master. The person threw the two men who knocked out Noah out. Watching the figures in the smoke, Julia was shocked that Master had actually come in person to find them. She then knelt down with a thud. She said she had been plotted against, and was willing to accept punishment. She requested to quickly search for the whereabouts of the other three people. When the smoke cleared, the embarrassed person rubbed their head. Master didn't come. It's me. But the person who came was Julia's senior brother Jace. The next second, Julia angrily punched Jace and sent him flying. I cracked a joke to lighten the mood. Julia, why are you being so rude? I raised you through thick and thin. He hadn't finished speaking when he saw Julia grinning and clenching her fist. Immediately after that, she started crazily hitting Jace. After a long while, Jace cleared his throat a few times before getting to the main topic. He pointed to the side. Their masters have all arrived. Kenzo's master grabbed Julia's hand. He asked tremulously, How is Kenzo? When I saw Kenzo last time, he went north. He immediately bent down. He expressed his hope that several of you could help him find Kenzo, indicating that he has not yet attained immortality. Jace expressed that he would definitely find Kenzo. At this moment, Julia also shared her speculation with Emmy's master, hoping that her guess was correct. This time, it was a calculation targeted at Emmy. At once, the group decided to split up into three directions. One group would go to the town outside to gather information. The second group would head northwest to find Emmy, and the third group would go north to search for Kenzo. As night fell, Emmy finally woke up. Emmy felt that her injuries were not serious. But why was her scalp so painful? Kenzo, on the other hand, was sitting calmly nearby. At this point, Emmy asked Kenzo if we are waiting here. Kenzo explained that he had left hidden marks within a radius of 300 miles. He has also set up hidden formations outside this cave to cover his tracks. It is relatively safe here for the time being. If Ryder's group has other accomplices, venturing further south could easily lead us into their hands. Calculate the days. Regardless of whether Julia is rescued or not, the immortals who are coming to assist us should have already entered Reed Island. Emmy watched as Kenzo lazily leaned against the cliff. Suddenly, both of their faces blushed uncontrollably. There was a bit of emptiness in their hearts, as if a small cat paw was gently scratching inside. To ease the awkward atmosphere, Emmy asked if there was anything they could do on their own. Kenzo, however, said that as long as you don't easily release your spiritual sense, it should be fine. He also mentioned that Makoa and those few rogues will perish together with the Azure Wave Serpent that is about to attain immortality, reassuring her not to worry. Emmy suddenly looked disappointed, feeling like she had become a burden. At that moment, Kinzo suddenly asked Emmy for a favor. Emmy suddenly stood up excitedly. Please tell me, senior brother. If I can repay senior brother's life-saving grace, Emmy is willing to sacrifice this life. Looking at Emmy's serious expression, Kinzo expressed that it wasn't necessary to be so serious. After we go back, we will definitely be asked in detail. I have always been afraid of trouble, and do not want too much attention or to cause any trouble. When junior sister reports to the master, please do not mention much about matters related to me. My cultivation achievement is not high. I only have one skill, the earth escape. Saying it out loud might make people laugh. Upon hearing this, Emmy believed that Kinzo was showing kindness without seeking anything in return, solely focused on the immortal path. Her admiration for Kinzo grew even more. Emmy kept all of this in her heart. Kinzo, however, was extremely worried in his heart. He always felt that she still had residual poison in her body. Suddenly, Kinzo felt the movement outside. Masters Jr., they have arrived. Several figures were seen flying towards here at high speed. Masters Jr., who was leading the group, was about to greet the two of them. A roar came from behind her. Kinzo looked at Master's excited expression. Kinzo couldn't help but show a little smile. It looks like Master is going to give him a kind beating on his bum again. But deep down, there is always a warm feeling. He didn't dodge either, letting Master hit him a couple of times to vent his anger. You dare to come here with just spirit transformation realm cultivation. Aren't you holding back others by doing this? Masters Jr. Emmy immediately spoke up. Senior brother Kinzo did not drag anyone down. On the contrary, I have been helped by senior brother several times. Yes, I did not lag behind and also helped a lot. Kinzo quickly intercepted Emmy's words. It's precisely because of the cultivation trial here that I have broken through to the return to Void Realm. Master's eyes filled with tears in an instant. You really have the nerve to say that. You cultivated for 100 years before comprehending the return to Void Realm. You are still so proud and arrogant. Look at Emmy. She is already in stage 4 of return to Void after all. And then, there was a violent beating. Kinzo was a bit helpless. Fortunately, he acted well himself. By the way, Emmy, do you know about Ryder's whereabouts? Emmy, tell him that Ryder is dead. She killed him with her own hands. This was all done by me alone. It has nothing to do with senior brother Kinzo. Kinzo only used the escape technique to help me escape with my life. Please punish me accordingly. In fact, when the immortals arrived, they had searched the soul of the man in black and roughly understood the course of events. He also wanted to confirm the facts. He is ready to return to the sect and accept the punishment. And at this moment, Jace was somewhat excited as he looked at Kinzo, asking if he could put away those double-pupiled spider silk threads. They are rare treasures that are hard to come by. Kinzo understood his thoughts at a glance. If Senior Sect Uncle is interested in them, I have a few nests of double-pupiled spiders raised on Little Peak. I'll move one nest over as a gift. But his Master Rain does not know the value of this item. Why are you so stingy? How many nests of the immortal insect are there? Keep one for yourself and move the others to Jace, Senior Sect Uncle. Kinzo almost choked himself to death in one breath. His heart is bleeding incessantly. But he can only try to keep a smile on his face. After everyone left, they finally returned to the long-lost Immortal Salvation sect. But the house leaked just in time for a night of rain. Kinzo never expected that. Junior sister came up and gave herself a big hug. She kept praising herself. Kinzo's first instinct was that Kaya was hiding something from him. Sure enough, under Kinzo's aggressive questioning, Kaya took out empty bottles one by one. These poison powders are all given to her by Kinzo for self-defense. This amount is enough to poison down the armies of the 100,000 in this secular world. And now she has used them up by just dealing with a few small fry. Not knowing, one would think that Kaya had defeated some powerful monster. She admitted her mistake. I didn't expect Kaya to keep avoiding eye contact. Go ahead and tell me everything while I'm in a good mood. Kinzo's forehead veins bulged. Kaya shivered all over at first. She then knelt down on the ground directly. I'm sorry. 2 senior sect uncles in this sect are interested in the poison powder you refined. They took away several bottles of the most potent poison from me. And, senior brother, your extremely high level of poison refining skills. It was also accidentally exposed by me. The room fell silent. What kind of person is senior brother? Perhaps only this junior sister understands him the best in the world. Oh no, oh no. Senior brother must be completely disappointed in her. But Kinzo just gave her ear a little twist. Get up. This is not a big deal. Do you think I don't know your temper? It's all in Kinzo's control. Since he gave junior sister these poison powders for self-defense, he intentionally wanted her to reveal them as well. He asked junior sister if among the 2 seniors who took away the poison powder from you, there was an old man with a sick left leg, leaning on a copper crutch. Junior sister nodded. This person is the senior with the deepest understanding of the toxic path in the Immortal Salvation sect. If you can take this opportunity to establish a good relationship with this senior, you may receive guidance from him in the future, especially in poison refining. Kaya complained a little discontentedly. Do you need to scheme against me as well? If you have something to say, just tell me directly, okay? Kinzo earnestly educates her not to change the subject. What we are talking about now is your squandering of the poison pill. Tomorrow I will punish you to go to the back mountain to chop wood and clear land. You are not allowed to use Taoist technique's spiritual power. Kinzo wants to build a room for pill refining and poison refining. He wants the management of the sect to know that he is good at poison refining. From now on, he won't have to hide like a cat every time. The next morning, Masters Jr. arrived at Kinzo's room early in the morning and kept complaining. Because of the unsuccessful protection this time, she was punished by several elders to quit drinking for 3 years, which was more painful than killing her. At this moment, Kinzo's eyes lit up as he thought of another way to trick people. He took out a drink called Immortal Drunkenness that could replace alcohol. It is both a hallucinogenic drug and a fine wine. However, it does not have any alcohol content itself. Other than intoxication, it has no other effects. Julia tasted it curiously. The powerful medicine made her eyes start to become blurry. Her expression seemed as if she was on the brink of ecstasy and death. Kinzo needs her help to solidify the foundation of his formation. The 2 of them quickly reached a consensus. So 2 years later, Kinzo's door was kicked open by someone. Masters Jr. rushed in with a worried look on his face. What about Immortal Drunkenness this month? Masters Jr. has completely fallen into despair. Don't worry, I won't forget about Masters Jr. Kinzo handed her 2 jade pots. 20 days later, I still want to ask Masters Jr. to help me refine a more difficult pill, and you must keep this matter confidential for me. Julia was a bit confused about what kind of mysterious pill this was. This is a poison pill called Immortal Melting. Julia's face changed drastically when she heard about the Immortal Melting pill. What are you making that world-ending poison pill for if even she can be poisoned directly? Don't worry, Masters Jr. I will not do anything that harms the principles of the world. Poison pill can be used to kill as well as to save people. As long as I successfully refine the Immortal Melting pill, I will persuade Master to carry it by his side when crossing the tribulation. The probability of Master surviving the heavenly tribulation can reach 90%. And this is just the first plan he has prepared for Master to cross the tribulation. There are many more plans to ensure nothing goes wrong. At this moment, Kinzo is preparing the first plan to help Master cross the tribulation. Its core is to refine the Immortal Remedy herb into the Immortal Melting pill. Even with a success rate of 90%, he is still not satisfied. He has prepared many backup plans. At the same time, Jace discovered that his junior sister has been visiting Little Peak more and more frequently. He felt that something was wrong. But he couldn't just ask his junior sister directly if she was attracted to Kenzo from Little Peak. So he brought his cultivation partner with him, and went there in person. Of course, in the face of such a thing, he had to sneak over to see the truth. Kenzo had already set up the chain formation here, waiting for Jace to discover it, and have a good laugh. The person who arranged this formation has decent skills. However, a mere confusion and disorientation formation cannot defeat me. He is particularly confident in his formation technique. Jace remained calm and smiled. He exudes a mysterious self-confidence all over his body. So 2 hours later, Jace began to doubt his life. This is fake, right? The formation technique I comprehended before were all fake, right? He crazily hit his head against the tree trunk. Did I take the wrong path? Turns out, I'm just an immortal of this level. His cultivation partner by the side was at a loss. Don't scare me. We'll just blow it up. But someone who can set up this kind of formation, how could they not be on guard? Maybe it will immediately transform into a killing formation. Jace had snot and tears running down his face, looking up at his wife. Turns out I've never been good enough for you. I'm just a waste. Suddenly, a breeze brushed by. The dense white mist in the woods gradually dispersed. What met his eyes was a huge pill refining building. Kenzo felt a bit helpless. Let them take a look and feel reassured about their relationship. Avoid any future unrest for oneself. Let's start pill refining. So Kenzo directly took out a magical artifact cloth similar to a spacesuit. A pair of toxic-resistant gloves that can withstand most severe poisons. A detoxifying talisman combined with an antidote pill. Various materials that are corrosion-resistant. And containers with strange shapes. You truly live up to your name. Masters Jr. is directly dumbfounded. She couldn't help but complain in her heart. This is definitely the most cowardly cultivator she has ever seen. The two people outside the window were speechless for a while. However, Jace's wife thinks that Kenzo is still quite handsome. Apart from his cultivation achievement being a bit lacking, there are no other issues. The next day, Julia handed the spider over to senior brother. Jace didn't care about the spider. He was really scared by being called junior sister. Is it really necessary to go this far? Jace looked at junior sister seriously and asked, Have you and Kenzo been together for the past 2 years? Julia strongly refuted. Do you think I'm someone who preys on younger people? I would never do such a thing. Afterwards, she explained to senior brother. Jace became more and more shocked as he listened. Chain formation turned out to be arranged by him, using his plan through others' hands. What a brilliant idea. Although this Kenzo's aptitude is not top-notch, reaching return to Void Realm within 100 years of entry is considered above average. If he is nurtured properly, attaining immortality should not be a problem. He is a material that can be molded. He is determined to go and meet this disciple who has been hiding so deeply to see what Kenzo's true strength is. He is the male lead who is most capable of playing a shrinking violet in the history of cultivation novels. He can achieve immortality with just one thought at the beginning. He views facing the heavenly tribulation without complete certainty as going to his death. Kenzo had long anticipated that Jace was thoughtful and sensitive. Jace has always had many questions about him. This situation is not good for him. So he asked Julia to bring him 2 bottles. Bone-corroding and hard-dissolving pill, and soul transmutation and death-seizing pill. And the small print on it, Julia definitely won't notice. This is obviously for Jace to read. The path to immortality is rarely found, with only 3 parts of it shrouded in mystery. A true gentleman does not seek false grandeur, but remains steady and resolute. His implicit meaning is to let Jace pretend not to notice his unusualness. Kenzo wants to meet him at noon. Jace recalled everything that had happened before. His face was full of shock. He had never expected a junior to be so cunning and bold. He did not want to attract attention by being unobtrusive. However, Jace also serves as an officer of the Immortal Sect. It is still decided to go and investigate the matter thoroughly. In the middle of the night, Kinzo has been waiting here for a long time. He first prepared a good meal and wine for Senior Sect Uncle, then thought about how to eliminate the threat posed by Senior Sect Uncle. For Kinzo, someone's curiosity and interest in him is a potential threat. He decided to reveal some of his hidden cultivation achievements first to make Senior Sect Uncle Jace think that he had already figured him out. In this way, he can not only eliminate threats, but also turn them into opportunities. The next second, Kinzo lightly tapped the table with chopsticks. Powerful spiritual energy burst out of the body. This move instantly sobered up the slightly intoxicated Jace. He was secretly shocked. This Kinzo cultivation achievement has already reached the return to Void Stage 5. He can reach this realm after cultivating for more than 100 years. His aptitude is very outstanding. He can also rank among the top in the contemporary disciples. What's even more rare is his exceptional intelligence and mindset. Kinzo gave a silly smile. I have informed Senior Sect Uncle of his cultivation achievements. This should prove that I mean no harm. Kinzo is quite the actor. You should know that Kinzo has just killed an immortal. You can boldly speculate now. After he sends Jace away. Kai is also a bit curious. Senior brother, what realm has your cultivation achievement reached now? Have you caught up with Master? Are you about to attain immortality soon? Kinzo glanced at her. What do you think? According to a little-known source, Kinzo is currently suppressing his cultivation achievement and can achieve immortality at any moment with just one thought. After he achieves immortality, he will directly advance to the next level. He almost achieved the Heaven Immortal realm. At the same time, Kinzo has successfully refined the Immortal Melting Pill. The first plan to help Master cross the tribulation has been finalized. But he still needs to synchronize the second and third plans. In case Master suddenly has sudden enlightenment and successfully transcends the heavenly tribulation to become a normal immortal, there will be no need to use the first plan. Be well prepared. He is not afraid to travel all over the cultivation world. At this moment, in order to help Master Kinzo cross the tribulation, he has actually created a lightning protection device that can divert thunder tribulation. He is also too genius to use science to cross the tribulation. Not long after, Kinzo arrived at Master Seclusion's place. Master, I would like to ask you a few difficult questions. I feel ashamed to disturb you, Master. Master nodded at Kinzo. Over these past few years, I have also neglected your teachings. The two master and disciple arrived at the willow tree by the lake. Master spoke first. If I cannot pass the heavenly tribulation, I entrust Little Peak and Kaya to you. Kinzo immediately became anxious and said, Master, how can you say such a thing? You used to say so frequently. If a person doesn't even have this bit of confidence, how do we face the trials and cultivation trials given by the great path? Master sighed and said, You have a timid and cowardly personality. Instead, you are teaching me. Kinzo quickly got to the point. The spirit returns to its essence, and the energy returns to its source. The 5 chi return to their source, completing the heavenly cycle effortlessly. What should be done? Master was briefly puzzled by this sentence. Master had a sudden flash of inspiration and entered the state of sudden enlightenment. Kinzo looked pensive as he gazed at Master. If Master could have half of his sudden enlightenment, it would be great. He wouldn't have to remind Master so subtly. This is the second plan. He wants to enhance Master's own strength, enhance Master's insight and understanding of the great path. Here is the excellent third plan. I saw Kinzo take out a piece of falling thunderwood from the treasure bag. This is a commonly used material for setting up the thunder formation that can channel the power of thunder. 7 Thunder Gathering Divine Iron. It is also a commonly used treasure for setting up the thunder formation. It can store the power of scattered thunder to help cross the tribulation. According to the knowledge he possesses, if he can create a secondary transfer lightning rod, when the body of the one crossing the tribulation is struck by the heavenly tribulation, most of the power of thunder can be drawn out from the person crossing the tribulation. In this way, It may increase the chances of successfully crossing the tribulation. Kaya just asked what was happening, and she was locked in an iron cage by her own senior brother. She became a guinea pig to verify this technological achievement. Kinzo took out the thunder curse and gave a warning to Kaya. Don't touch those nets around you. Later, Kinzo threw out a talisman. The sky cleared in an instant. Several bolts of lightning struck directly above the falling thunderwood in the iron cage. The 7 thunder-gathering divine iron surrounding it immediately channels the thunder into the earth. Kaya, who was huddled up holding her head, slowly lifted her head. She looked at the scene in front of her with amazement. What a treasure! It can actually resist thunder. Practice has proved that this thing works well. I just don't know how it would fare against a real heavenly tribulation. As long as it can help Master resist the first thunder, the rest should be manageable. Junior sister would never have imagined. Her senior brother actually emerged from underground. You really are something.